Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Alright, hello everybody and welcome to another recommendations video. And today I'm going to be talking about kind of a heavy topic, and I don't always give like trigger warnings at the beginnings of these, especially because usually it's pretty clear whether we're talking about steamy or dark or tough topics. But today I don't know, I'm just feeling a bit sensitive about it, so I just want to give the heads up that because the topic today is abusive exes, you just may want to, keep that in mind if that's something that is triggering to you. But I know some people who, have lived through that find reading books about women escaping that or finding love after that to be especially empowering or just romantic to read. So in the same way, that we like reading a dark romance because it can be cathartic, there are purposes for everything. And I don't know, just want to give that warning because I'm going to be talking about some of the specific situations that the heroines and in this one, I think one hero particularly is in. So I just want you to have a warning for that. Maybe don't stick around for this video if you don't want to hear that. Again, I'm not going to be giving full reviews of all of these, so there's that. But with some of them, I'm going to talk about the specifics of the abuse because they're going to be different in each scenario. So the other thing I want to say is that I have made a few videos kind of like this one before. I have done Woman on the Run. I think I've made that 2 or 3 times even, so I will link those up here, those previous videos I've done like that, because there is quite a bit of overlap. However, this video was requested by a viewer, by Brittany is their name. They put this into my video recommendation form, which again is in every video that I put out. It's just in my stuff that I put into every description. And they had said that they were looking for stories of abusive exes where the character gets away. I think they even were more specific about sometimes they get the power to get back at the person or not. But either way, I just wanted to take that as these aren't only cases of women on the run. Some of them they are in the process of getting away from the person. Some of them, they're still being stalked by the person. So in that case, they would be like one of the people is on the run. But some of them, it's just a past relationship was pretty abusive or manipulative, or they were gaslit, or it was emotionally devastating. But there are all different types of it in here. So this one's just, that's why this one's the more broad term of abusive ex-partner is kind of where I'm going with that, because they're not all involving the person having to be on the run, but there is a significant amount of them that are. So anyway, that will make more sense as we start going through the recs, because I'm going to tell you in each one which is which, but it's not as broad a term, it's not as specific a term as Women on the Run, which are what I've made for oddly specific trope recs before. Okay. All right. Enough of a setup. Let's get into this, and we will start with one that I actually read for a Patreon read a couple months ago. And this one has, it has a pretty intense situation right off the bat for sure. And this one is Devil of Dublin by B.B. Easton. This is a kind of mafia, kind of Irish folklore situation going on. And this one I found to be really interesting because it starts off with Darby and her and her mother continuing to visit her grandparents in Ireland. And she meets this boy there who is a bit of an outcast. You can tell he's from an abusive situation and he really doesn't speak. And eventually, as she gets to know him over the visits, they become quite close with one another. And eventually there comes a time where she's not able to come back and visit after her mom dies. But then when she comes back for a funeral, she comes back with her abusive boyfriend who's being really controlling over her. and it actually leads to him trying to, and we learn in this moment of this situation that he has done before. He has assaulted her in their relationship before, because she's just like putting up with it in the moment. But her childhood friend, he shows up, Kellen shows up and actually kills her boyfriend who is trying to assault her. And then it sends the two of them kind of on the run together. And it's very interesting because they've only seen each other's connection with one another that seems almost magical. But now they're having to deal with the fallout from him. I mean, he very clearly did rescue her. Her partner was going absolutely nuts on her. And it's very clear that she had just been accepting this. And I don't know, there's so much pain and heartbreak in their story, but when he frees her and saves her from that situation, though they're now like on the run together, and we learn that he's a part of the local kind of like Irish Brotherhood, which is like a mafia of its own, she may be, you know, safer than she has been in many years, even though she's now kind of on the run with him. So it was a very interesting situation. So yeah, that's one that I'm not going to forget a few of the scenes from this book anytime soon. It was quite intense. Of course, just as I start filming, one of the cars parks right there to give me a nice light background there. Okay. Then we have an interesting one here in Where You Belong by Kristen Proby. Don't mind the shiny cover of this one. And this one's very, this is one of the ones I thought of too when we talked about where this ex wasn't a physically abusive one, but definitely was gaslighting, a very emotionally manipulative person in the heroine's life. So this is a romance between Juliet and Brooks, and they were actually like teenage/childhood sweethearts. But when Jules was in college, Brooks wanted to propose to her, and she had this friend who was, I mean, not a very good friend, not a good dude at all. And he was being very emotionally manipulative, threatening self-harm to get her to comply with things that he wanted. And she was a very caring and loving person, and she just was kind of naive in that way, where she couldn't see that he would have any malicious intent in his, like, in his mental health, right? And Brooks, being young and a bit hot-headed himself, wasn't patient enough to kind of explain what he was seeing happening either. And so in the prologue of this book, he actually makes a stand and asks her to choose between her friend and him. And Jules is just kind of flabbergasted by that and is like, why are you asking me to choose? You know, maybe you're not good for me if you're asking me to choose between my friend and you. And it actually causes them to break up. So all of this happens in the prologue of this book. Then we skip ahead, 12 years, 15 years. And now she's back in their small town in Bitterroot Valley, opening a business. And she is now a widow. But we find out that she ended up marrying that friend, though she married him for reasons other than love. Like, she married him for reasons he manipulated her into. Like, there's no other way to say that. He was a very manipulative person. He had mistresses the whole time they were together. They didn't have a physical relationship. He got some sick pleasure out of manipulating her time and her attention. And very quickly after breaking up with Brooks, she realized that she was being played with, but then it was too late. She'd already cut herself off from people that she cared about. And this person who was a friend, who then becomes a husband, he was controlling so much of her life. The only real good part about his eventual death that happens is that he ended up leaving her some money, which he's able to use to start her restaurant back in her hometown. And she hopes to try to start fresh there. And Brooks, of course, is very upset that she's back. He doesn't want to see her. He doesn't want anything to do with her, but that's not going to last very long either. There is one remnant from her past. So even though her ex is dead, Jules is apparently being kind of stalked by one of his mistresses who wants money from Jules. So that's kind of a storyline that's happening throughout this a little bit as well. But yeah, so that, like I said, that's one of the different kinds of abusive exes that I wanted to show, is I wanted to show that type of, the manipulative and gaslighting type, that especially when you're young, you may be aware that you're being manipulated, but you also can't fathom that it's really as manipulative as it seems. And that's really what I feel like Jules must have been going through, because Brooks is calling it like it is, but his just like harsh, like just cut this person off, like they're trying to take you away from me, they're trying to do that. It just seems so harsh, even though that's what should have happened. And, you know, let's be honest, he does go a little bit over the top about how he does it. If he was smart, he wouldn't have played the ultimatum game like that. But then we wouldn't have the second chance story that we do with that one. So, okay, the next one I want to share is another one that does have a definitely more physically abusive partner. And this is the one why I've been using partner and being vague, that this isn't all just women on the run, because this is the one in the series where I had one to put in here. This is one I've talked about a lot recently because this book has just not left my mind. It is one of my favorite reads I've read this year. It was so close to being a 6-star book. There was just a few things that it wasn't quite there, but it's so good. And I still think about this, if not daily, like weekly, I think about this book. And it has this abusive ex, and who is also the gaslighting, the seclusionary, the like, I'm going to make myself your whole world, as well as physically abusive, and the power struggle is crazy. So this book was Hollow by M.L. Burns. And this one is also a stepbrother romance. And I bring that up too because the romance between, Aiden or Auden, I've never heard his name said, but it's like Aydan, so I think it's like just supposed to be Aiden. But Aiden and then Keone, they have been stepbrothers since they were like 14 and 16, I think. And honestly, they met briefly and were attracted to each other even before they found out they were going to be stepbrothers. And then once they became stepbrothers, they, tried to quell their feelings. But then when their feelings were starting to bubble over, they, Keone really was like, no, there can't be anything with my stepbrother. This would ruin things for my mother, who really loves his father. Like, we can't make this weird. And so they broke ways. And then Aiden ended up meeting who ended up being his abuser. And while Aiden became a nurse. He was with a police officer, which makes all of this so much worse and is a big part of the story because that gives him power and like legitimacy. And he's really able to jerk his weight around in a lot of ways. And then Keone is actually a firefighter and lived in a different place. But where this book is starting, it is 12 years on from that. And actually, their parents have died. So Keone's mother and Aiden's father, they were in a fatal car crash. And Aiden is able to it's so awful, but the death of his parents is actually the reason he needs to leave his abuser for a brief time. To go to their funeral. Or I think he's not even able to make I can't remember if he's able to actually make it to the funeral or not, but either way, he's able to use finally the death of his parents to get away from his abuser. Because his abuser has not, he's done the whole, he's isolated him from his family. He's, made him basically cut them all off. They all think he thinks he's too good for them now, that he doesn't care about them. And Keone, because he's the one who initially, pushed Aiden away because of their attraction for one another, he thinks that it's, his fault that this rift has happened. But now, because our parents are dead, he's like, you really can't still be pissed about this. It's been a decade. Our parents are gone. Stop being a little bitch about this. And really, there's so much more to it than you even know. But Keone has his own mental health struggles going on too. But anyway, so all of this stuff is going on, all right? But again, Aiden is able to use this loss to go visit the family cabin because it's been, I think, left to him and his sister. But also, I guess, it's been left to Keone as well. So the point is they both end up at the cabin. And Keone has a lot of anger because he's like, where have you been all these times when, our family needed you? And Aiden isn't ready to just spill his guts about everything because there's just too much, It's that thing of, also he has his abusive partner has lied to him and just spoken such poison into his heart for so many years of and now you've cut them off and they all hate you and they'll never want to talk to you again and blah, 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 blah. And he's just spoken this evil words over him. And then to have Keone be like, I hate you, which really he doesn't hate him. He loves him, but it's also kind of confirming. So anyway, it's just a mess. But for all that to say, it's a beautiful story. And if Aiden will be brave and explain to Keone what he's been through, Keone will be his fiercest protector, more than he can ever imagine. But that ex-partner is not so willing to be an ex. And as I said, he is a police officer. And again, there are some things that Keone has been keeping a secret from Aiden, which why would he have told him? They haven't had time to tell those things. And it's gonna get crazy. So that one is wild. That one's a little bit like Man on the Run instead of Woman on the Run. That one's a bit Man on the Run, but also very much abusive ex-partner. And there's so much involved in that one. So that's why I said that one's a dark romance, but it's dark for subject matter and what's been happening to Aiden, not between Keone and him. Their romance is very sweet and it is so beautiful. It's just the content and the darkness going on, and there's some suspense, and honestly, this one played out like a movie to me. I say this very rarely. If you're a regular to the channel, you'll know this had a brilliant use of flashback. The flashbacks came about when we needed them for the purpose we needed them. They were only there to give us the vital information that the characters weren't ready to tell us, but the flashbacks gave us, and then they got out of there, That's not something that I think a lot of authors use correctly these days. I think they give us either they just dump everything into a flashback instead of making it mysterious. And I don't know, M.L. Burns, I'm going to read now the first book in this series, which is about, I know, a totally different couple and stuff. But I'm so excited to do it because they really won me over with how this one was done. So very, very good. This is now another one where the abuse was quite different than other kinds. So this is the Countess Conspiracy. And this one, when we say ex, we mean dead. So our heroine is a widow, and this one is a friends to lovers romance. This is one of my 6-star reads this year. I love it so much. Oh, I love this book so much, you guys. So much. So I'll try not to talk about it a ton because I don't want this video to be super, super long. Keep it together. But this one is about Violet Waterfield. She's a widowed Countess of Canterbury, and she is a woman of science, basically. And this is about her best friend, Sebastian Melchior, I don't know how to say his name, who is a part of the Brothers, this is part of the Brothers Sister series. And he has been presenting her scientific research, pretending that it's his with her blessing, right? Because she's not able to present her work. It's actually kind of funny, though not funny. It's actually very sad because her work has to do with like botany and flowers and with like crossing different flowers to make new breeds. And apparently like women looking into crossbreeding flowers is considered like super racy and scandalous. I don't know. It's trash, but he's been doing that. And at the point where our story starts, her husband's been dead for a few years. She's actually been friends with his family for many years. So like they've been friends even when she was married and for a long time. But they've been even closer friends since her husband died, and Sebastian's been helping her with her scientific work and like sharing it with people. But he's tired of being a fraud. He's tired of pretending that her work is his. He wants to stop like lying about that. And she understands that, but she also thinks he must be getting tired of me. That's why he wants out of this situation. And really, it's the complete opposite. Sebastian is actually head over heels, 10 toes down, absolutely obsessed with her. And it's actually slowly killing him to A, be taking credit for her brilliant findings, and B, to like not say how much he adores and loves her. And Violet, she just can't understand him loving her. Also, this woman is kind of terrified of sex, and I'm going to explain why. It's not because of what you might think. Not because she was, I know they said this is abusive ex. She's not scared of sex because her husband was abusive sexually. I'll tell you in just a second. But anyway, Sebastian confesses his feelings, and Violet just doesn't know what to do with that, but she's just scared of what loving her might mean. And Sebastian, he assures her that she doesn't have to reciprocate his love, doesn't change, that he'll still be her friend, but he's tired of hiding it because he's like, it diminishes us both, me like hiding it from you. So he gets that out there. So the way that Violet's husband was abusive is that he wanted an heir. And Violet was very fertile, but she could not hold her pregnancies. Her body would not hold them. So in the years that she was married to her husband, she had, this is going to make me sick, she had, I believe, 18 lost pregnancies. And, yeah, it's just absolutely tragic. And after, I think, like the 5th or 6th one, the doctor kind of suggested they stop. And this wasn't even a doctor being, like, super sympathetic to her. He's just like, yeah, it's not the greatest idea. And her husband was still just like, nope, that's what we got to do. We got to make a baby. And he wouldn't stop trying. And he would, like I said, he wouldn't ever like force Violet to have the sex, but he would guilt her. So, I mean, I'm not making excuses for him. Like, yeah, I guess he wasn't like forcing her to have the sex, but he was forcing her to continue trying for a baby when it was almost killing her. And let's just say his death isn't not connected to him insisting that they continue trying to have a baby. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But he just was absolutely made her feel selfish and worthless if she wasn't continuing to offer her body up as a sacrifice for his family line. And it's just so crazy how when she tells that to Sebastian, his reaction, I'm not going to cry because I'm not wearing makeup today and I will turn into a splotchy tomato. But Sebastian's reaction when he finds out about all of this and that she's the one who feels shameful because of it. let's just say Sebastian's the book boyfriend of the year thus far. Nobody has really beat him yet. He's amazing. So we love him. We love him. All right. Forever Undone by Jay Shaman. This one's a bit more as well, the classic kind of abusive ex. I hate saying classic, that's not right. But this one is a best friend, roommate. It's not his baby. Marriage of convenience, single dad, all the tropes that we love. But the scenario where it's not his baby. So we have our heroine here. Sorry, let me pull this up. We have Skylar, who she's a pediatric nurse, and she has an abusive boyfriend. And when she finds out she's pregnant, she is terrified because she had been wanting out of this relationship with him. But they work at the same hospital, and she needed a place to go. And so she'd finally found a place to go. Her brother had offered her his condo to stay in. At the same time, her brother, who, let's just say, her brother does a little bit of matchmaking, pretending that he's not matchmaking, but he absolutely is. Because her brother at the same time also offers his friend Ashton to stay in the same like condo, his house, with his daughter. And he pretends it's a mix-up, and they both end up staying there, but really her brother did it on purpose. Spoiler alert, I'm telling you. He did it on purpose. And so anyway, now he's staying there. I mean, her brother didn't know that she was pregnant, by this other douche canoe, but he wanted them kind of looking out for each other and being there. So yeah, Ashton has a little girl who his ex had actually recently passed away, and the stepdad didn't want to keep the girl. Which honestly was kind of shitty, because, I mean, not that Ashton didn't want to be with his daughter. He did, but she loved her stepdad too. Like, all appearances, he was a good guy, and he just didn't want to be with her. I'm sure there's other reasons for that too. We didn't get into them in this story, but it's just like, the father like traveled a lot. He was like a doctor without border types and stuff. And he was on like mostly good terms with his ex. And then she had died. And so now he has a little girl who's grieving. And so Skylar's kind of like helping be kind of like that mom figure. And anyway, when we find out she's pregnant, and Ashton finds out about her abusive ex, who is actually working with him in the emergency department, and he sees what a douche this guy is. He understands why she doesn't want this man to be on the birth certificate for her baby. And so he offers to marry her, because he thinks she'll be a good stepmom to his daughter, and he would become the dad to her kid. And don't we love romance novels? Because he's just like, yeah, no, I'll be your baby's dad. And that's what happens. So that's what this one is. But the abusive ex is definitely a big part of the story, because she has to see him at work all the time. He is a resident. She is a pediatric nurse. And he is able to find out her schedule all the time. Like, he's able to get himself working the same time as her and stalk her. And, you know, she doesn't have any proof to do anything about that situation until he actually steps over the line. And it's a really scary situation. So, you know. Okay, then we have another really emotionally abusive and degrading one. But, oh, I love this book. I love the new cover. I was able to get the new cover. Still waiting for one for Unsteady. But we have Unloved by Peyton Corinne. I just love these two so much. So this is the romance between Matt, Freddy, Frederick, and Roe Sheriff. Okay, these are so cute. This is a college romance. And in the beginning of this, so Matt is on the hockey team, and he's barely scraping by with a 2.0 GPA, and he's failing his classes. Now, he has dyslexia, dyscalculia, and ADHD, and he needs help to graduate. And so Ro, she is becoming his tutor. Now, she has had a crush on him for a while. She also does have a boyfriend during this, and he's a douche canoe. He's stuck up. He's an asshole. He also thinks he's better than Matt because he thinks Matt is stupid, which I gotta tell you right off the bat, this is so infuriating because it's like, they're literally tutors. Like, it's your job to be a tutor because you know there's kids who have learning disabilities and need help. And just because he's a jock and you're jealous that he has a different talent than you, Matt isn't a stuck-up guy. Like, he doesn't rub it in people's faces that he's on the hockey team or that he's a jock or that he's any of those things. Sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent. But this dude that Ro is dating is so totally disgusting. But what he's even worse about is that Ro is also wanting to be kind of sexually adventurous with her boyfriend at the time. And he makes her feel like this disgusting pervert because she wants to try like a couple like sex positions. I don't know. It's so obnoxious and just like such an ew personality trait that like, why don't you want to try out sexy things with your girlfriend? Like, do you have such like porn dick that you don't want to try things out with your girlfriend? Like, that's just such a red flag to me off of someone right away. Like, just gotta say, like, disgusting. But anywho, so they start out just becoming very sweet friends. You know, she's tutoring him, she's helping him. And Matt also has, Freddie also has some real insecurities from feeling stupid. And he also is considered a slut. He's been labeled that because he has slept around before. He's also been taken advantage of in that way before. And there is someone older than him with a power dynamic with him, a woman who has abused her position to get Matt into bed with her. And like, I really appreciate how Peyton Corinne takes that sensitive topic and shows that like, it isn't just men who abuse people and it isn't just women who are abused. Like, that power dynamic can be any like differential that can happen. But there particularly is a scene in here where it goes beyond just gaslighting and being rude to Ro, and not even a physical thing, but there is a situation in here where Ro's asshole boyfriend, his selfishness, puts her directly in danger, and it gives an opportunity for Matt, and he's not like, not an opportunity where like, oh, he's a show how chivalrous he is, but just where him and the entire hockey team actually offer Ro like safety in just a basic human decency. But like, they all step up to protect her. Sorry, no crying in this video. That you're just like, there's no going back for that boyfriend too. And when he calls and tries to be like, well, blah, 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 you're just like, it finally shows Ro that like, no, this man didn't care about my safety. Anything could have happened to me. And he was fine to just make a point and try to put me in my place, and then expected me to crawl back to him afterwards. And it's just, it hurts so bad to see her humiliated, but it also was like, she was going to keep taking him back because of her low self-esteem if something like that didn't like snap her out of it. So it hurts to watch it happen to her, but it's also like, okay, good. We did that and it's done now. So that one, honestly, it felt very realistic, more so than some of these really like over the top crazy things, because it's like you absolutely could see someone being that much of a dickhead, you know? It's crazy. Okay, then we have Maple and Moonlight by Daphne Elliott. This was another one I really loved this year, and this one is a single mom. I'm surprised I haven't had too many single moms. Now, of course, I have 2 single moms to share on near here at the end, but hadn't had too many of those. So Maple and Moonlight is the one, it's a mom with 3 kids, and at the beginning of this book, she moves to this small town. She is a like first grade or kindergarten teacher. It's a small town in Vermont. And she ends up as neighbors to this guy, Josh Lawrence, him and his dog. It's a maple farm. And she's a bit of a grump. She's very protective, but there's a reason for that. And it's because her ex is now in prison because, I'll just tell you, he threw her son down the stairs in one of his rages. They have 3 kids. I think it's like 13, 10, and like 7 or whatever are her kids' ages. And the middle child is a boy, and he's on the autism spectrum. And the father had like thrown him down the stairs. And the mom had put up with a lot of abuse. She'd put up with a lot. But when he hurt their kid, you know, as you'd hope so, once something like that has happened, it's like, no, that's it. You've went too far. It's done now. And that was the case here. So when he was put in prison, she moved out of the area. She was like, I don't want him to know where we live anymore. Now it won't take long till the loser starts to find out, because he has family members who think she was overreacting and blame her for getting the dad put in prison. But she's like, no, I'm not giving him a chance to be back in their lives. And so that's why she's so protective. Now Josh, he is a bit of a grump himself as well, but his dog particularly takes to the children, and he takes to the children. And after a few, head bumps to begin with, and her being suspicious of everyone in this town, the town really kind of adopts her and falls for her, and just wants to make her and the kids feel welcome. And it's a really beautiful thing to see, I think, anyway. I really love it. Okay, there's also, this was one I talked about a lot. Did I read this last year or 2 years ago? Oh, it was last year. All right. Yeah, it was last July. Crazy that this was the first time I read this author. There was Stand and Defend by Sloane St. James. Yeah, this was the first one I read by her. And I believe I read this for A Woman on the Run originally, I think was the trope back then. But this one, as an intro to Sloane St. James, was great. This one was the 4th book in a series, but I wasn't missing anything by starting with this book. And this one was wild to me. So this one is about Jordana, who is currently engaged to Brian Davenport. And the book actually starts out with her on her bachelorette party and him in his bachelor party. And this absolute idiot, they have like a bachelorette party in Vegas. And the dude has the fucking balls to cheat on his fiance in the same hotel that they're staying at. And so when Jordana goes back to the room early, she walks in on him, no, she doesn't walk in on it. I think the Camden walks in on it, but then somehow, she finds out about it. Let's see what happens. When I decide to leave my phone, it shows just hover. I can't remember which order it is, but either way, she knows that he's fucking, her friend or something like that. And so she leaves the bachelor party and heads home. And for her, it's a pretty cut and dry thing. She's like, yo, I'm out of this relationship, and she's from a wealthy family. He's from a wealthy family. So it's not like there's a huge power differential, or you wouldn't think there could be, because it's not like he holds everything in the relationship. But she had let this guy take a lot of control over her. She really had. And when she tries to leave him, she learns that he has been stalking her. He has control of most of her money. He owns her car. He has the keys, like he's able to change the locks at home. She's working for his family company. He gets her kicked out, and he's able to do all of that. And he thinks it will make her move back in. All right. He thinks him exerting his control and showing what he's just been hiding under the surface, that would make her want him back, which is, I mean, whatever. And, yeah. the thing is that Camden, who, again, she wasn't really close with this guy. They're not buddies or anything. But he's friends with Brian, or he was. He drops Brian cold fucking turkey when he sees this, because Camden's mom was in an abusive marriage. His dad was an abusive asshole. He actually has a stepdad now with his mom, who's wonderful. And he actually has a charity to help women leave abusive relationships. And he, when he sees what's going down, is like, dude, you're an abusive dick. Like, we're not friends anymore. Whatever I thought I knew about you, it's over. And he actually had offered, Jordana his information and was like, if you want to leave him, here's my info. And when Jordana had like tried to leave, and literally she gets kicked out of her vehicle when Brian reports it as stolen, even though it's her car, but his name was on it. She calls Camden, and Camden is like, nope, come to my house. I have a guest house. I have a place for you to be. I will get you some cash for now. I'll get you everything. Like, don't go back. He's like, turn off your phone after this. He probably is tracking it. Like, we'll get you everything, because he knows what these abusive rich pricks are like. So that is this case. And yeah, Brian, he came up against the wrong dude. But it's terrifying because Jordana, even though she's from a wealthy family herself, she had still fallen into a lot of the traps of letting this guy take over parts of her life. And she's just like, how did I do this? And if she hadn't have had Camden to lean on at the time, like, she would have been in a lot of trouble, because she has her own money. She has these things, but they were all under Brian's name at the time. She would have needed to get a hold of her parents in the meantime for all these things. And I guess like they were away on like a summer trip or something like that. And she would have been in real pain. And who knows what Brian would have been able to convince her of, or what he would have been able to, what control he would have been able to maintain over her if she didn't have someone's help in that moment, right? Because she would have said yes to a few things just to survive to start with. So it's crazy. But anyway, we got to wrap this up. I got two more to talk about real quick. And they're both kind of similar on like the darker side of stuff still too. So another one that I just want to share. Now, this one, you do kind of need to read the series in order, so I almost wasn't going to share it, but I also just love this one so much, and I haven't talked about this series much lately, so I wanted to plug it, and it fits in here. But we have Soar High by Cherise Sinclair, and this one is the fourth book in the Sons of the Survivalists, so yeah. You do need to read this series in order because it builds upon itself, and this one culminates in kind of our battle against the Patriot Zealots is what they're called. They're this religious fanatic group in here. And our heroine in here, Kit, her and her son had, her son was by a different man, but she'd married this guy who had moved her and her son to Alaska to live in this compound. And at the end of the last book, her friend, who I fucking love her friend so much, her friend had come to Alaska and literally rounded up support for them to rescue Kit and her son from this compound, which is amazing. And then we have Hawk, who is a veteran, a survivor of a lot of trauma himself, who ends up looking out for Kit and her son, gets really close with them, and it is a journey of healing for all of them together, actually. But yeah, there are some guerrilla-like fights that happen between the Patriot Zealots and the, oh, I forgot what it's called, damn it. Anyway, the fortress kind of that the four brothers, because there's these four adopted brothers, there's this like fortress that they have. There's like a battle between that and how the townspeople have all come together in Rescue, Alaska, to fight for Kit and her kid, but also just all of them, because this small community doesn't want these zealots there hurting people and doing what they were doing there either. But Kit definitely has a pretty abusive jerk face of a partner there, and he's going to try to take his wife back once she has gotten away. And the Sons of the Survivalists are like, yeah, buddy, come, you come and try to take her. You just come and try to do that. So yeah, I love this series, and it's always a great series to read in the winter and the fall. I recommend it. Really good one. And then the last one I want to recommend, and this is another series that has to do with a group of military veterans and their sanctuary that they've created. And in this case, it's Montana. So this one's called Montana Sanctuary. And this is book 1 in the Resting Warrior Ranch. This was a series that I was a big fan of. And I talked a lot about a couple years ago, actually. But in this one, we have Lucas Everett, who started this Resting Warrior Ranch where they aren't any doctors, but they have this ranch that they put together where different veterans or people struggling with their mental health or PTSD can come to stay. They can train with horses, they can be farming, they can do whatever they need to help heal from internal wounds as well as external. And then we have this woman named Evelyn who she comes looking for a job, and they had a posting looking for work that I guess was like, it was an old posting that never got taken down. But when she calls looking for a job there, Lucas can just tell that something's up, and he can tell that this woman really needs a place to stay, that she needs help. And so when she gets there and starts working there, she just really fits in. Sorry, I'm trying to think of the word. She just really fits in with it. And then when it becomes clear that there is someone coming after her, she couldn't be at a safer, better place to be protected than where she is. She just has to learn to trust Lucas and his, band of warriors there and tell them the truth about her situation so that they can be prepared for what is coming for her, is what I would say. And yeah, her ex is terrifying, and I hate him. But yeah. It's a really good series, and there's a couple, I think, different abusive situations in this one, but particularly the first one, Montana Sanctuary, is really good. This series was super bingeable, at least books 1 through 8. I think they started to get a little bit too by rote, and I even think that, things got a little bit too similar by that point, but books 1 through 8, I binged them and really enjoyed this series, so highly recommend. All right, there you go. Those are some books that fit the abusive ex-partner situation. Some are women on the run. Some are just healing and looking for a place to find peace and restoration. And like I said, though, I will link those other videos that have more similar situations there. And again, thank you to Brittany for this topic suggestion. If you would like to suggest a video topic, you can do that on the form down below. I am always looking for ideas when they fit kind of what my mood is and what works. So please do that. If you have recommendations for this trope, please put it in the comments down below. Please like this video, hype this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I put up 4 videos a week. I also have a Patreon where I do an exclusive read every month where the review is just for you there. I put up extra vlog. Well, not extra. That's where I put up vlogs, is on my Patreon with behind the scenes stuff. I have other behind the scenes things that I share on my Patreon, so check that out. If you want early access to videos, I have channel memberships. Those are always linked down below as well. And yeah, I think that's all from me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.